Duh? Like, duh. Like, oh my god, that's so cute. It's like, why don't you guys swap houses? Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books that are holiday themed. These are the 3 books that I read in December for my holiday vibes, the Christmassy vibes. 2 of them are rereads, but one is brand new, and that one is Christmas by the Book by Anne Marie Ryan. Cute little cover. The synopsis of this, I will just read here. Nora and Simon have run the beautiful oak-beamed bookshop in their British village for 30 years. But times are tough and the shop is under threat of closure. This holiday season will really decide their fate. When an elderly man visits the store and buys the one book they've never been able to sell, it gives Nora an idea. She and Simon will send out books to those feeling down this time of year and lift people's spirits through the power of reading. The couple quietly deliver books to residents in need of festive cheer, including a single dad trying to make ends meet, a teenage boy grieving for his sister, a local politician battling depression, and a retired teacher living on her own. The books begin to give the recipients hope one by one, but with the future of the bookshop still on the line, Nora and Simon will need a Christmas miracle to find a happy ending of their own. So overall, I quite enjoyed this. Idiocy of one of the main characters in the beginning aside. To me, this is exactly what it says it is and what it sets out to be, which is a heartwarming, cozy holiday story full of books and kindness and people coming together. I think the kind of holiday rom-com vibe is more my taste as far as like holiday books go, but I do love a just generally heartwarming, touching, inspiring tale also. I'm also friggin' sap, and I teared up several times in this book. There was nothing like drastically emotional that happened. It was just like these little sweet moments that just got me all choked up, where I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. Just couldn't help it. As for my question I've been asking myself when reviewing, do I see myself rereading this? Yes, definitely. I'm always looking for rereadable holiday books to add to my roster for every December of just holiday books to get all cozied up with, and this is on the roster now for sure. So with the characters, this is kind of plot stuff also. In the beginning, I was getting pretty irritated with Nora, and this isn't like real spoilery, I don't think, because it says on the back that like the shop is in decline, and right in the very beginning, you know Nora is keeping this information from Simon, her husband. He has had not a heart attack, an angina, like almost a heart attack. He has a bad heart, so he shouldn't like have a bunch of stress in his life, right? And so she's not telling him that like they're literally about to be ass out. And it just felt really illogical to me that she would keep that from him. I completely understand being worried about his stress levels and not wanting to cause stress. But if that's the case, to me, option A is fill him in with little tidbits as the problem is developing. Maybe don't tell him the full detailed extent, and maybe tell him like, hey, I don't need you to get involved yet. I'm trying to figure it out. I want you to stay stress-free, but like, I just want to give you a little heads up. It's looking a little hinky, whatever. Causing him tiny, small moments of stress. So that's option A. Or option B, wait until the last possible minute to tell him and drop an enormous stress bomb on his head. I feel like one of these is gonna be worse than the other one. Duh? Like, duh. So it was just truly idiotic and childish to me that she thought that option B was the best one. Like, you're a whole grown-ass adult. How are you that naive and immature and completely illogical? However, that issue was very short-lived. It was just in the very beginning. So because of that, it didn't like really cause problems for me in my reading experience. If it had continued on for much longer, though, I think it would have, but it didn't, so I was like, okay, whew, we got that dumb shit out of the way. And with the plot overall, aside from that little thing in the beginning, I did really enjoy this, and You get to know Nora and Simon. Obviously, they're like the main characters, but all these little side characters in the village, you also get to see little tidbits of their lives, and I really enjoyed that. And of course, I figured we were going to get a resolution to the big problem of the book by the end, but I wasn't really sure how, and I wasn't able to predict how, so that was a nice little surprise. And yeah, just overall, it wasn't like some big drama, big super serious, I mean, it's a serious thing going on in their lives, but the tone of the book was a little bit lighthearted still amidst this stress they were under, and I just really liked that. I liked that it was a more heartwarming, cozy, keeping things mostly light. I will say, though, content warnings. There are some content warnings. We have mention of a child slash young person. I can't quite recall if she was like college aged or high school aged, but someone who has died before the book started, and we hear someone talking about it, people grieving for that. And then also suicide ideation is briefly, but it is in here. The character who is dealing with depression is having some suicidal thoughts. And then there is a moment where like an almost attempt is made, like I might be about to do this, and then doesn't, but just as a heads up, that is there. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and it will definitely be one that I read in years to come as one of my Christmas/holiday books. The next holiday book I read is one of the rereads, Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levan. The first time I read this one was back in 2017, then I read it in 2019, and then this year. And I actually bumped up my rating. I had it at a 3.5, but I bumped it up to 4 stars because it's my 3rd time reading it, and it just really holds up for me as like a cute, fun, mostly fluffy little teen rom-com with some generally fun and enjoyable characters to me. For whatever reason, Dash, being just a completely pretentious, like navel-gazy, whatever teenager, doesn't completely annoy me. I don't know why. I find him charming instead of annoying, because I think most of the time a character like that who speaks the way he speaks, I would just be like, bro, shut up. We get it. You know a lot of words. Because, like, listen to how... It was Christmas time in New York City, the most detestable time of the year. The moo-like crowds, the endless visits from hapless relatives, the ersatz cheer, the joyless attempts at joyfulness. My natural aversion to human contact could only intensify in this context. I was a Decemberist, a Bolshevik, a career criminal, a philatelist, trapped by unknowable anguish. Whatever everyone else was not, I was willing to be. I walked as invisibly as I could through the Pavlovian spend-drunk hordes, the broken winter breakers, the foreigners who had flown halfway across the world to see a lighting of a tree without realizing how completely pagan such a ritual was. Like, that's how he talks. And normally I would be so annoyed. But for whatever reason, like I said, I find him charming. And sometimes it's, like, funny. Like, I can't say I'd ever heard of French pianism, although if a man on the street, wearing a bowler no doubt, had asked me if I believed the French were a pianistic sort, I would have easily given an affirmative reply. So funny to me. There are times where the characters do kind of dumb stuff that feels a little bit too forced or contrived, but it also might just be like teenagers being dumbass teenagers, you know? And I'm pushing 40, so when teenagers being dumbass teenagers, it just kind of annoys me sometimes. But overall, like I said, I just find it kind of fun and lighthearted and a good time. The way the story plays out is really fun. The whole premise is Lily puts a notebook in the shelves of the Strand with some clues and like a little game to play, hoping some boy will find it and be like-minded to her. She's trying to find a boyfriend for Christmas. Dash finds it and starts to play the game, and so they go back and forth, leaving the notebook for each other in different places with different clues and writing to each other in the notebook and getting to know each other. And they have to like do a dare before they can like get the next clue, that kind of stuff. So it's just really cute. And I also really like the Netflix miniseries I had seen it before, and I rewatched it after finishing this with my boyfriend, actually, and he thought it was fun, too. He liked it, so yay. Yeah, bumped it up to 4 stars. There is a sequel to this, 12 Days of Dash and Lily, and I think there's actually even a third one. I DNF'd the sequel because right at the beginning, like in the first 2 chapters, there was lack of communication trope, miscommunication, misunderstanding, and I could not, so I will not ever be reading the rest of the series. And the next one that I reread, and I actually just finished it today, was The Holiday Trap by Parish. And this time I listened to the audiobook of this, and I still really enjoyed it. I gave this 4.5 stars last year when I first read it, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. There are still some moments where I'm a little annoyed with the characters. Truman in particular. The premise, I keep forgetting to say the fucking premises. This is kind of like a reimagining of the movie, The Holiday, which I fucking love. It is one of my favorite Christmas holiday movies. I thoroughly enjoy it, with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet and Jack Black and Jude Law and so on. Super cute. It's like house swap story. In this version, we have Greta, who lives in Maine, in an island, a small island off of Maine, and has a very overbearing, control freak family. Yeah, that's the best way to describe how very fucking annoying they are. And then we have Truman, who lives in New Orleans, and he is just forever falling for the wrong men, and finds out in the very beginning that the guy he's been dating for a year is a dirty, dirty liar. That's all I'll say. And Greta has like a thing that happens that her family puts her up for this thing. I'm trying not to be spoilery, even though it's like in the very first chapter. Whatever, that she's pissed about. So she gets pissed at her family. Truman gets pissed and breaks up with his boyfriend. And they both are talking to their mutual friend, Ramona, about their problems. They don't know each other, but Ramona is like, they both say, I need to get out of here. I wish I could get out of here. I don't want to be here right now, like, where I am. So Ramona is like, why don't you guys swap houses? So they do. So Truman goes up to Maine to stay in Greta's house. Greta goes down to New Orleans to stay in Truman's house. And things ensue from there. We have lots of queer representation. We have a Jewish main character. Greta is a Jewish character. And yeah, Truman is gay. Greta is a lesbian. And then we have lots of side characters with other queer representation as well. Lots of racial and queer diversity. And yeah, like I was saying, Truman especially, there's a few times where he's like misunderstanding things that I'm like, bro, come on, man. But then also on this reread, there were times where Karis, Greta's love interest, Karis kind of annoyed me because there's lots of conversations in this book, like kind of therapy speak type conversations about, toxic family, your own toxic behaviors, your own problematic behaviors, sabotage, self-sabotage type shit. And both of our main characters are kind of realizing things about themselves, realizing things about the patterns they've created in their lives, and like talking about these things with people. And I really, really enjoyed all of that. I felt like it was executed pretty well. But yeah, there's like, it's not spoilery necessarily, but one thing that Greta needs to learn is to say what she wants and just say, this is what I want, this is what I need, or this is what I don't want from someone. And also to listen when other people say, like, this is what I want from you, or this is what I don't want you to do. And like actually hear it and do it. And just because of her family dynamic, like she doesn't really get that initially. However, I was kind of annoyed because when Karis is bringing this up to her, she's like, I told you what I wanted and you didn't listen. But the 2 times hold on, where is it? Yeah, she's doing some work, grading stuff for her students. And she's like, I'm going to finish these and then I'm going to get ice cream and not think about my students for 3 glorious weeks. And Greta goes and gets ice cream for her and brings it back and is like, look, I got you ice cream. And Karis is like all annoyed and later is like, I told you what I wanted and you didn't listen. Or like, I told you I wanted to go get it. But my argument here is, yeah, you did, but you also need, if I was Greta, I would be like, you didn't specifically say, this is for her, it was like a ritual. Like, that's going to be my, like, I'm done. I'm going to go treat myself. I would be like, okay, well, you didn't really say that either, though. Like, you didn't say, when I'm done, this thing I want to do to treat myself is to get up and go myself and get ice cream. That's not what you said. You just said, I want to get some ice cream when I'm done. Like, and then there's another thing later where she's hungover and Greta is like, do you want me to clean up for you? And she's like, no, honestly, I just want to sleep and I'll call you later. And then Greta goes and cleans up, being like, oh, I'll be nice and like surprise her. And she's like, I told you, once again, I told you what I wanted and what I didn't want you to do. And I'm like, again, I would be like, you weren't that specific, okay? You didn't say, I don't want you to clean up because I want to clean up, because it's a thing my friends and I do. That's not what you said. So a couple times like that where I was like, but also you weren't that specific, but it's whatever. Overall, I think those kinds of conversations, they ended up well and they went well, and I think they were executed pretty well. Sometimes with Greta and her family, it was very frustrating to read just because dysfunctional ass toxic families that behave the way her family behaves, it stresses me out. It stresses me out. And I'm just forever, I know it's realistic because I know people who have families like this. And I don't, though. Thank God. Thank fucking God. I don't have this, like, overbearing ass, controlling, guilt trip, like, tactic using I don't have that at all. And in my immediate family anyways. And I just so appreciate that because it fucking kills me, like, reading about it or seeing it in movies and stuff or in my friends' families. So, stressful, but only because it was so realistic. I quite enjoyed this still upon reread, so yay, love that for me. I'm going to leave it at 4.5 stars. There we have it. Those are the 3 that I got to this year. There was one more that I was going to try to pick up, but I didn't, and it's actually Christmas today, so I'm not going to continue reading any more Christmassy books. That'll be it until next year. If you know of any other books, if you've read any of these and you know of books that have similar vibes, do let me know, because I'm always down to try some more. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.